I'm Brett Segmiller, and today I'm going to be talking about a pretty much forgotten guilty pleasure movie called Alien vs. Predator. Now, let's get this out of the way first thing. Alien vs. Predator is pretty much a garbage movie, and there's no getting around that. However, there is a certain level of enjoyment that can be had from this particular film, but overall, AVP is an extremely subpar and disappointing take on both the Alien and Predator franchises. Ultimately, there should have been more horror and mystery at the beginning of the film, but for some reason they decided to treat AVP like an action-adventure story right from the get-go. But all of that aside, something stood out to me the most recent time I watched AVP, which made me think that maybe the film was just a little bit smarter than I gave it credit for in the first place. I know that's saying a lot. After the group of explorers finds a stash of Predator weapons inside the underground pyramid, ironically no one actually recognizes that these artifacts are weapons, even though they're very clearly weapons for anyone who has a brain. So even though this lack of awareness in and of itself is terrible writing, what happens next is even more irritating, but kind of funny when you think about it. At this point in the story, the expedition members have become separated into two different groups, and after hearing the second group get attacked by facehuggers, Alexa says, "We're gonna round up the rest of the team and get to the surface. Let's move." Before anyone has a chance to get going, Maxwell Stafford, the assistant to Peter Wayland, and several other members of the expedition pull the handles from their briefcases, revealing assault rifles hidden inside. At seeing this, Alexa says, "What are you doing?" Maxwell responds, "My job. Yours is over." To which Alexa responds, "My job is over when everyone is back on the boat safely, and that gun doesn't change anything." I remember when I first watched AVP in theaters back in 2004, that I found this particular line, "that gun doesn't change anything," absolutely hilarious. I found it funny because Alexa instantly realizes that she doesn't have any power in the situation after the guns are revealed, because the men with the guns refuse to follow her orders. They can just do their own thing now. So at this point, it's been established that Alexa clearly believes that weapons don't really matter when it comes to power. This fact is further cemented early on in the film when, while preparing for the expedition, Alexa has a conversation with a woman with ridiculous blonde hair called Adele. When Alexa comes upon Adele loading the magazine of her pistol, she says, "7 seasons on the ice, and I've never seen a gun save someone's life." Adele responds, to her credit, "I don't plan on using it." "Then why bring it?" Alexa asks. "Same principle as a condom," Adele replies. "I'd rather have one and not need it, than need it and not have one." Alexa clearly establishes that in her line of work, she believes that weapons don't have any inherent value, and that they don't change power dynamics when they enter the picture. But then, all of a sudden, everything goes disastrously wrong, and the team starts getting picked off one by one. Shortly afterward, the pretentious archaeologist who can magically interpret any hieroglyph discovers writings on a wall and explains to Alexa that ancient predators used Earth as a breeding ground for the aliens, the ultimate prey. To do this, young predators would come to Earth to slay the aliens to gain their status as hunters. Like a video game quest, weapons were placed inside of the pyramid for the hunters to find and use in their fight against their prey. Upon hearing this, Alexa has a bit of an epiphany and says, "This pyramid, it's like a prison. We took the guards' guns, and now the prisoners are running free. To restore order, the guards need their guns." While Alexa probably didn't mentally link her conversation with Maxwell early in the story about guns to this recent epiphany, the prisoners and the guards metaphor helps Alexa realize that power hierarchies do matter. Without weapons, guards can't maintain order, and if they can't maintain order, then anarchy ultimately reigns. This visualization helps Alexa come to understand that, yes, the guns do mean something, and without them, the world will be overrun by the serpent-like aliens. When confronted by the last remaining predator, she returns the weapon to its rightful owner to restore order. In return, the predator crafts her a makeshift spear and shield out of the remains of the alien that Alexa helped kill, and gives it to her to help her survive. Ironically, now Alexa is armed with weapons of her own. Was the theme of AVP supposed to be about the main character coming to realize that weapons do in fact change power dynamics? Or is the film just a hodgepodge of ideas that weren't really meant to amount to anything in particular? It's very possible that the writers of AVP sincerely believe that having a weapon doesn't change anything like Alexa says at the beginning, and that the following events in the story weren't intended as an overarching theme to the story. In other words, maybe it was just a happy accident that the story turned out this way. But regardless of intention, when you combine the ideas and themes from all these scenes together, an ideology starts to unfold. What you get is the story of a competent woman who, for whatever reason, doesn't believe that weapons and guns have any inherent value. And she comes to the realization that weapons do change power dynamics, and that guns can save lives when used by the right individuals. But from a story writing perspective, it's always essential for lead characters in stories to learn something and become a different person than what they were at the beginning of their story. The quintessential example of this is Luke Skywalker from the original Star Wars trilogy, as he transitions from a naive boy to a wise and powerful Jedi warrior. While it's true that Alexa is still a boring and somewhat annoying character in AVP, at the very least, she actually does have an internal story arc to her character. In literary terms, this is called the lie the character believes. In this case, the lie that Alexa believed is that guns don't matter or that they don't actually have any value in the real world. But based on the events of the story, Alexa is forced to conclude that weapons do have value and that they're directly correlated with power structures and hierarchy. In short, she comes to realize that being harmless isn't a virtue, and that she needs to arm herself to restore order within the breadth of the story. So yes, while AVP was deservedly derided upon its release for its bad writing and acting, I have to give it props for the fact that the story was somewhat more profound than I initially gave it credit for, because most of this just flew over my head when I first saw the movie. Now, based off the last Predator movie that we got from Shane Black, which was an absolute disaster, at this point, if people could just stop making Predator and Alien movies, that would be awesome. But enough from me. What did you think about Alien vs. Predator? Did you see it in theaters back in the day? And if you agree or disagree with any of my thoughts in regards to it, let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.
Hello? Oh. Not now, not now. For heaven's sake, keep your shirt on. Oh, Elaine, I didn't mean... You mean he dropped dead right in this chair? Oh.
Hey, you!
Oh.